Most sales professionals suck, but that is good news for you, and I'm about to tell you why. There is a well-known principle, it's a universal principle called the Pareto Principle. And basically the Pareto Principle, put in commoner language, is the 80-20 rule. Well, that 80-20 rule applies everywhere. 20% are gonna be top of their class, 80% are gonna be less than average, believe it or not. You got 20% of your sales force carries the other 80%, 20% of your employee force carries the other 80%. That's just how naturally things work here on this planet, the Pareto Principle. But if you think about that, that means that you're watching this, so hopefully you're in the 20%. That means 80% of the people that you're competing against are no good. That means 80% of the people that you're competing against are getting carried by the 20%. So you're competing against the other 20%, and they're the cream of the crop and the top and all that great stuff. But at the same time, you got to realize that when you're competing on price, when you're competing on value, when you're competing on product, probably the person you're competing with is not as good as you are. Where are some things that salespeople are terrible at that you can have a substantial advantage? First of all, I did another video about this. You can watch it. It's somewhere on this channel, about the 4 phases that you have to go through in chronological order in order to close a sales call. Most people skip over 1 or 2 of those 4 phases. If they go from 1 to 4 and skip 2 and 3, they're going to be left out. Now, you're probably wondering what those 4 phases are. You can catch that on the other video. I don't have time to go into it here. Another thing that salespeople are terrible at, and I would say 95% of them are terrible at this, is just making people feel good. Making them feel like they're wanted. Make them feel like they are appreciated for spending their hard-earned money on the products and services that we sell. I remember one time I was buying a house for $7 million. And the builder was an absolute asshole. I'm having this guy build the most expensive thing at the time that I had ever fucking bought in my life. He was so entitled, like didn't build the house with him. I ended up getting my money back. I ended up getting my deposit on the lot back because, man, if I'm spending $7 million with somebody, make me feel good. Like when you go to Louis Vuitton, yes, they're gonna fucking rip your eyes out when you buy anything from them. I don't buy shit for myself, but I have a wife, and so I go there and I buy stuff for Amy like once a year, like a purse once a year, some perfume for Valentine's Day. Anyway, you go in there, you know you're paying more than Target. You know you're paying more than Walmart, and you're getting the same type of shit with a different brand on it, but they make you feel good. Louis Vuitton gives such good service. Look, and I'm not a high-end shopper. I'm just giving a great example. I went to the Rolex store recently. They didn't want to show me Rolexes. Fucking weird. The sales guy was terrible. I'm like, hey, I got 20 grand. I want to buy this watch. And they were being all weird about it. Like, what the fuck, man? I'm trying to give you money, and now you're being weird. That's how most salespeople operate. You have a competitive advantage. How do you make people feel good? Be appreciative towards them. Show them some empathy. Actually listen to them, right? Follow up enthusiastically, because you're not following up to get a sale. You're following up because you created a relationship. When you can have a sales conversation and take it from just a transaction or transactional conversation into a meaningful conversation that creates a relationship, oh my God, that's the best way to sell somebody. And you get a friend out of it. You get a paycheck and a friend. But most salespeople, they don't do that. Why? Most people are scared to ask for the business. And this is the weirdest thought process that I have seen thousands of salespeople suffer from. And it might even be your problem that you suffer from. People have this irrational thought process. Let me break this pattern for you. People have this irrational thought process that goes, if I ask them for money, they won't like me and they'll tell me no. And so they don't ask them for the business. They don't attempt to close the sale because they're scared of not getting money and not getting a no. But that's exactly what they got if they didn't ask for the sale. If you don't ask for the sale, it's the equivalent of a no because you didn't close anything. And it's the equivalent of losing because you didn't gain anything. So many people, they just simply don't even ask for the business because they've convinced themselves that they ask for the business will go away. How backwards is that thought process? But it might even be the one that you have. I have a really simple thought process. Everybody wants to do business with me, so I offer everybody I talk to an opportunity to give me some money. Some will, some won't. So what? We call that the SW3 formula. And here's the thing. If you suck as a salesman, know that there's 20% of the sales force out there that's absolutely crushing it, and you're competing against them if you don't decide to get better. Making your customer feel valued. If you don't get better at demonstrating your product or service that you sell, if you don't get better at The follow-up is the most important part that salespeople just don't do, especially sales guys that get a lot of leads. They'll follow up once or twice and move on to the next lead. Now, I don't have follow up with nobody this much, but studies show that it takes typically 12 follow-ups on average to get somebody to become familiar with you. And most salespeople don't have the patience because of a contaminant amount of ADHD that runs through our sales industry. But most people, they don't have the patience to hit 12 calls. So even you just being the guy willing to go that extra mile to 12 with a prospect puts you in that 20%, separates you from that 80%, knowing that 80% of people will never make it to 12, but you're in the 20% that does. So having these small competitive advantages, I didn't have to tell you a fancy script. I didn't have to give you some kind of whack-ass formula on a whiteboard. I'm just telling you common sense shit that most salespeople are fucking horrible at, that you can dominate with just by making these free, simple tweaks to your presentation and how you close clients. What are those tweaks? Make them feel valued, follow up with them 12 times, and ask them for the business. If you enjoyed this video, there's a bunch of other shit on this channel just like it that you can watch. I talk about everything. Sometimes it's sales, sometimes it's business, sometimes it's ranching, but it's always interesting. I got stories for days. Make sure you watch some of them on this channel. Catch you on the next one.